Hey guys, it's Chris. From pet hippos attacking their own owners to hippos knocking over boats and more. Join me as I show you 9 times when hippos attacked. Number 9. Marius and Humphrey. There once was a man named Marius Els. He lived in South Africa and liked having exotic animals as pets, one of which was a hippo named Humphrey, which many have admitted is a good name for a hippo. Marius and Humphrey were apparently very close, and Marius did truly love his pet hippo. However, one day Humphrey turned on Marius and he disappeared. What was left of his body was found in the river days later. The irony of this particular death is manifold. First and foremost, Marius stated many times and in many interviews that he felt that Humphrey was like a son to him, mainly because Els had raised his hippo since he was 5 months old, which in most cases would usually mean a large bond of trust and love even with the most extreme of animals. However, Humphrey had displayed violent behavior in the past. For example, the hippo would throw Els off its back when he tried to ride the creature, though Els just laughed this off. Humphrey also went and nearly attacked a couple of canoeists on their property once, though Els was able to stop Humphrey and stated that he only went after them because he was hungry. These should have been signs of danger, but Els laughed them off and now he's gone. And this is a major reason why it's unwise to raise a hippo as a pet. Yes, there have been cases where they've been raised since birth and have been fine towards their owners. But they can be very volatile creatures, and as such, they should be treated with a wariness that you would have for other creatures of its size and power, else meet the same fate as Marius. Number 8. Hippo vs. Boat. I think the most common misconception about hippos is that people consider them to be pure herbivores, said Leejiah Dorward, a PhD student at the University of Oxford who studies human-carnivore conflict in Tanzania. This here is just one misconception about hippos that we have. People think of them as big creatures that are lovable, even making a game about them in the form of hungry hippos. But as this PhD student and others have noted, hippos have a mean streak to them, and they're not afraid to get physical when they feel threatened or just don't like something. They're super aggressive and arguably the most dangerous animal in Africa, yet many people will still marvel at hippos when they see them in the water because they don't realize the danger they're in. The majority of people from overseas are not aware of how dangerous these animals can be, says Johan Eckstein, a South African conservation ecologist who has researched hippo-related issues for nearly 3 decades. There have been many times that hippos have gone after tourist boats and have done serious damage and even tried to kill the people on them intentionally. They even have an unintentional way of luring someone into a false sense of security via a laugh or yawn. People see these and don't think much about it, and yet it's a warning sign, especially if you're on a boat in their waters. So if you're in that area and you see a hippo, you'd be wise to get out of their way and range. And now for number 7. But first, did you know that hippos were so dangerous? Yeah, me neither. Be sure to subscribe to World List if you're new here and click the notification bell for more crazy stories like these. Number 7. Hippo Campsite. Jessica Kahler had a very unique story about a hippo attacking her in a roundabout way, and definitely not the way you'd expect. She was in Namibia working on her master's degree via the topic of human-wildlife conflict, and was doing some research by the river of an area when she decided to turn in for the night in her tent. As she was working on it, a group of cattle apparently came up to the river to graze and drink, which most times would have been fine. However, on this night, there was a hippo nearby, and the hippo did not like the cattle being there. So the hippo literally scared the cattle in such a way that they basically stampeded around and through the campsite that Kahler was in. She had to think seriously fast in order to figure out what to do, because they were running rampant everywhere. And if she tried to get out of her tent and get away, she knew that the cattle or the hippo might get her. Furthermore, a cow was actually trying to enter her tent, and thus if she opened it to leave, she would have been in close quarters with a frightened animal. She chose to stay in her tent and just smack the cow away. It worked, and in the morning, when it was all over, she noted there were all these footprints everywhere. Jessica had gotten very lucky and she knew it. Number 6. Hippo vs. Fisherman. In Senegal lives a man named Ali Fall, and he has a very simple and basic and honest life as a fisherman. Every day he goes into the river to go and fish, but unlike most fishermen, he quite literally has to keep an eye out for dangers. Not sharks or crocs or even aggressive fish, but for hippos. In 2016, he learned the hard way that he was right to keep an eye out because a hippo nearly killed him. I came with another fisherman to pick up the nets I had left when the hippopotamus upended our boat, Fall told the press. My friend got away, but it bit into my left leg and then my right. It's the second time I've been attacked after their first attempt in 2014, he added. I've cheated death twice. Think about that for a moment. This man has had not one, but 2 brushes with death with hippos that weren't happy that they were doing something as basic and nonchalant as fishing. Lest you think they were just after Ali, this is a more widespread threat in the Niger River. One notable period of destruction 16 years ago, AFP reported that rampaging herds of hippos were spreading terror among farmers and fishermen along the River Niger, in the West African country of the same name. Local authorities told the wire service in 2000 that the animals were attacking boatmen and were responsible for smashing or sinking about a dozen vessels. It got so bad in the area that the hippos were even attacking their cattle ranches on land, and the people tried and failed to fight back. Teams armed with machetes, clubs, and burning torches had been set up to protect the rice fields. But a local trader said the strategy was ineffective because the villagers are unable to resist the charges of the ravenous animals, AFP reported at the time. And therein lies the problem with hippos. They can be killed, but it's very hard to stop them when they're rushing you with 6,000 pounds of girth, and you're at most a couple hundred. Number 5. School boat tragedy. In 2014, a very terrible hippo attack led to the deaths of 13 people. But what made this attack especially terrible to the people of Niger was that 12 of those 13 people were children on a boat on their way to school. Ultimately, it was 12 students, including 7 girls and 5 boys, who died after the attack, the Minister of Secondary Education said. The sadness of the event goes beyond that, though, as the reason the boat was even on the water wasn't for fun or even a family trip or anything like that. School children have to cross the river every day to commute to school. The 13th person was a villager who had joined them on the boat. The attack was mourned by the people, and decisive action was decided upon. We've already given the order for the animal to be identified and killed, the governor of the region said. The attack occurred near the capital of Niamey, where several other hippo attacks have been recorded over the years. What this definitely shows is that hippos don't care about the age of the people who are crossing their territory. If they think they're a threat or they just find them invading their turf, they'll take action no matter the consequences. Number 4. Hippos in Lake NAIVASHA. Kenya's Lake NAIVASHA is apparently a hotspot for hippo attacks. For example, in August of 2018, just a few hours apart from one another, 2 men died while on Lake NAIVASHA via hippos. One man was a local and he was there illegally while doing some fishing. A hippo attacked him and bit him on the chest, killing him almost instantly given its massive bite strength. The other man was from Taiwan who was taking pictures on the lake when the hippo attacked. It rushed the man and his colleagues, and while others survived, Chang Ming Chuang did not. And in fact, he bled to death. The deaths of the 2 caused controversies for various reasons, not the least of which was a political one, as the Kenyan authorities cared more for the death of the Taiwanese man versus the local. But the other was that this was the 6th death caused by a hippo on the lake in 2018 alone, making it a true place to avoid unless you want to risk getting attacked by hippos. Number 3. Hippo capsizes boat. A woman and her husband were doing a river safari in Zimbabwe along with some other guests and a guide. At one point, as they were going along the river, the guide noticed a hippo and advised the guests to paddle away from it. As they did, though, another hippo appeared under the boat, capsized it, and then when the woman tried to swim to shore, the hippo tried to pull her under. Thankfully for her, the guide was able to bring her to shore and get her first aid, and then call in a helicopter to take her to a hospital. It was later revealed that there was a baby hippo in the area and the boat was getting too close to it, and so the mother knocked over the boat, showing how far they'll go to protect their young. Number 2. Hippo racing after boat. You would think that hippos, being massive creatures, that they wouldn't be able to keep up with boats. That's why they do sneak attacks, right? Well, wrong. Hippos are fast, and they can race out of the water or fly on land in terms of their speed to ensure that they get those who are disrupting their lives. In Botswana's Chobe River, a boat was going through the river when a hippo rushed out of the water and started to chase after the boat. It was keeping speed with it, and even dove underwater to get closer and be even faster in its approach. While it would eventually relent, it was willing to go the distance to get the boat to back off. Number 1. Future hippo attacks. Are future hippo attacks unavoidable? In many ways, yes, they are. for the simple fact that hippos kill about 500 people a year via their various strikes, which says nothing of the numerous animals that they kill as they roam around Africa. It's very easy to look at hippos being playful or silly, which they are known to be, and think that they can't possibly hurt you, but they can, and they will, and they'll do it with surprising speed. They're able to run up to 30 miles per hour on land, and in water they've been able to keep up with boats for short periods of time. The attacks that have happened are true warnings. Do not take hippos lightly, they'll make you regret it. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these times where hippos openly attacked people, boats, and more? Which of these attacks do you think was the scariest of the bunch? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and I'll see you next time on the channel.